Dear participants, the ESSEC Finance Department is delighted to welcome you to this first Vegan Finance Webinar. The title of the webinar is From Animal Welfare Awareness to Vegan Finance. So I insist upon the animal welfare importance. Vanessa Thomas and I have the pleasure to co-host this session. This webinar, as you saw on the program, addresses the integration of animal welfare and veganism in finance. And as you can see on the screen or on the program we sent to you, the first topic will be focused on the notion of veganism. What is veganism? And this topic will be presented by Luciana Waring. So Luciana is the Insight and Commercial Policy Officer at the Vegan Society. After Luciana, we will have the pleasure to listen to David Panel, who is co-founder of Vegan Business Tribe. He will highlight the importance and the features of the vegan marketplace. Then we will focus on the problem of rating. This is very difficult to know how to rate a vegan project or a vegan activity. So Van Dien Tran, who is the founder of Vegan Society, will present his methodology for the rating of vegan projects and the difficulties generated by this methodology. Olivia Blanchard is the president of les acteurs de la finance responsable. Olivia will deal with a very difficult issue, the inclusion of animal welfare in ESG. If you remember ESG, this is something you have heard about. So she will explain what we can do about that. Now, after we will have a small digital break, because I guess online conference, for an online conference, you need some rest. So a small break of, I think, 10 or 15 minutes. After the break, Robert Boyer, who is the program director at Blue Horizon, will explain the protein transformation and the importance of impact capital. And Claire Smith, who is the founder of Beyond Investing and the co-founder of Beyond Animal, will talk about the vegan climate ETF and the upcoming Vegan World Index. And after, we will have a small conclusion for this webinar of today. Please note that for your questions, we advise you to ask them at the end of each presentation. Francois, do you wish to talk?
Yes, well, thank you very much, Véronique, for the invitation. So I'm the head of the finance department. It's really my pleasure to say a few words at the beginning of this webinar. But I'm sure that what you will say is much more important than what I will say in the next seconds. But first of all, I would like to thank Véronique Bisson and Vanessa Thomas for organizing such a conference. I remember when you came to my office, it was maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. This vegan thing was just trendy, you see. But now we know that it's very important. And indeed, when we look at the general meetings of France, there are more and more CSR proposals regarding the vegan issue, and especially the animal welfare. So this is a very important issue for society and for business as well. The second point I would like to make is how can I say, to give you an advice, Véronique. You see, to organize a conference is great. It's needs a lot of effort, energy, will, and at ESSEC we are doing plenty of things, and you found the time to organize this conference, which is great. But what is more important is to organize such a conference every year, regularly, you see.
Yes, that's what we are going to do.
Regularity of a persistence is very, very important to have an impact in this work.
Yes,
that's what a few years ago.
Yes.
A few years ago, I organized a conference on a very different theme, which was about extreme events in finance. And a friend of mine was a professor in the marketing department. He told me, it was great, but you should do this regularly every year, you see. And if you don't do it, he used this French expression, it will be a coup d'épée dans l'eau, you see. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to organize more conferences on this theme, but I really strongly advise you to organize such a conference every year.
Yes,
I'm a very practical guy. You call it Vegan Finance Webinar. I propose to rename this webinar as the first ESSEC Vegan Finance Webinar. That's my proposition, you see.
François, that's what.
And I would like to tell you, I've already accepted your invitation for the second ESSEC Vegan Finance Webinar. So that's the good news of the day, you see.
Yes. Anyway, I said it was the first one, and at the end of the webinar, I'm going to say there will be a second one next year. So.
Great. You already followed my advice. What can I say more? It's great. I would like to talk a little bit of the content. You see, I'm a very young professor. I arrived at ESSEC more than 25 years ago. And I remember at that time, it was the time of the 90s, you see. At ESSEC, in the finance department, both in terms of research and in terms of teaching, the paradigm was the maximization of the value of shareholders. And I'm sure you all know this article written by Milton Friedman in the New York Times at the beginning of the 70s. And the title of this famous article was a little bit provocative, but it was "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits." And that was, I would say, the paradigm in which I arrived in the beginning of the 90s at ESSEC. But what was very interesting in this article by Milton Friedman is that he also added something which is very important and which is not cited at all. He said, conforming to the basic rules of a society. Conforming to the basic rules of a society. Both these embodied in law and those embodied in ethical custom, you see. So already in this article, and most of the time we just say the title of the article, but if you read the article, you will find out that even Milton Friedman thought about society and ethics, you see. And another author that I would like to quote is Freeman. It's not Friedman, it's Freeman. And he wrote a very important piece of knowledge, if I can say so, in 1984, he talked about stakeholders, you see. In the 90s, in finance department, we always talk about shareholders or stockholders, but Freeman talked about stakeholders. It's a broader view from stockholders to stakeholders. And he said that firms should also consider the stakeholders. So to come back to the finance department, 2021 is very different from the 90s, and I can say that this conference is a perfect, I would say, illustration of the evolution of the academic world, you see. Now we have a vegan finance webinar. I'm sure that in the 90s, vegan was not a term in the dictionary, you see. Or maybe I had the wrong dictionary. Another example of the evolution of academia and the finance department is that, and this is the advertising part of my speech, you see, we have a chair which is called Shaping the Future. And the chair is very interesting for firms who would like to develop, we say, an official relationship with the school. What do you mean by special? If you are partner of a chair, especially of this finance chair Shaping the Future, you have a special access to the students. That's very important for firms to hire our students. And you also have a special access to research that we do in this area of corporate social responsibility. So this is all what I wanted to say. I wish you a good conference. I will stay here until 1:30 after I have an administrative meeting So I will leave you, but I hope that you have a very enjoyable conference. Another point which is important is communication. You see, this is a great conference, and I think the world should know that it was a great conference at ESSEC. So thank you very much again, Véronique, and thank you very much again, Vanessa, for organizing this conference. I give you back the floor.
Thank you very much, Francois. So I'm going to stop my share screen, and now Luciana, you are going to talk about very important topic, which is veganism.
Hi, one moment. Hi everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us here, first of all. So I'm going to jump straight into it. My name's Louisiana. I'm from the Vegan Society. And what I just wanted to start with is just saying, what is veganism? Because a lot of people have their own ideas about what veganism is, but there is an official definition from the Vegan Society. And I won't read out the whole thing, but I'll just read the start. So veganism is a philosophy and way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practical, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals. And then the definition goes on. And I just wanted to highlight the two sections here, which I have in bold. So first of all, it is a philosophy. It's not just a diet. It really does encompass all aspects of your life. And also it's as far as is possible and practical. So this, we recognize that the Vegan Society, we live in a very non-vegan, non-perfect world. So having this part of the definition can really allow people to set their own boundaries to veganism, and also allows us to carry out a lot of the work that we do. So I'll take you back to the early days. So early veganism, we were established at the Vegan Society 76 years ago. But veganism has been around much, much longer than that. So evidence of people choosing to avoid animal products can be traced back over 2,000 years. And as early as 500 BCE, Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras promoted kindness amongst all animal species and followed what could be described as a vegetarian diet. And around the same time, the Buddha was also discussing vegetarian diets with his followers. If you fast forward to 1806 CE, the earliest concept of veganism were just starting to take shape in the Western world, with Dr. William Lamb and Percy Shelley among the first Europeans to publicly object to eggs and dairy, and they are also considered some of the original or some of the first animal rights activists that we had in the Western world. So really important establishing the roots of veganism. There's many different types of vegans. So ethical vegans shape their desire to avoid cruelty to animals. Environmental vegans will practice a vegan lifestyle because of the ecological damage that animal products can cause to the planet. Health-focused vegans will choose a vegan lifestyle for their own personal health. And religious vegans are prescribed the diet and lifestyle by their religion. But often many vegans will find themselves in a combination of these reasons, or focusing on one aspect and then moving to other aspects as they progress on their vegan journey. So who are the Vegan Society and where do we sit within all of this? So we're the world's first vegan society, and we're an educational membership charity that promotes and supports people to adopt a vegan lifestyle. We were formed in 1944 by a group of vegetarians who recognise the ethical compromises of eating eggs and dairy products. And our founders include Donna Watson and Elsie Shrigley. The Vegan Society created the term vegan in 1944. So the term vegan didn't exist before this, and it was simply the first two and last three letters of the word vegetarian. And then we registered as a charity in 1964. And our head of communications, Sam Calvert, is an expert in our history, having been in connection with the society for over 20 years. And a lot of people may know who the Vegan Society is, but might not know everything that we get involved with. So we are on a mission to make veganism mainstream and increasing the number of people who go vegan and stay vegan. We run campaigns to improve vegan education, nutrition, catering and agriculture, and we work across multiple different sectors. So we have nutritional, educational and ethical campaigns. We publish research. We have an international rights network. We promote policy and advocacy. We have a community network of volunteers who help with our outreach. We have a vegan trademark, which I'll speak about in a moment. And we also have our very own multivitamin, which we formulate and sell, called Veg1. So as I mentioned, I'll talk through some of the campaigns in a moment, but just in case any of these pique your interest, you can have a look at our website later on. So we have the vegan trademark, which ensures that vegan labeling is robust and encourages brands to register. We have an animal rights campaign called The Future Normal. We have a few environmental campaigns, so Climate Emergency, Plate Up for the Planet and Grow Green. We have 2 health-focused campaigns, Vegan are Thriving and Make More Medicines Vegan. We have inclusivity campaigns, so Live Vegan for Less, Play Fair with Plant Milk, Catering for Everyone and Vegan on the Go. And we have multiple different partnerships, so Veganuary, British Dietetic Association, Hospital Caterers Association, Vegan Organic Network and V for Life. And working with these external organisations means that we can really, our work is very validated and it's always based on evidence. So the vegan trademark is the oldest vegan labelling scheme of its kind. It was established in 1990, and we have over 54,000 products registered globally, which is incredible. And I'm sure David will speak more about the growth of the market in his presentation. We register products, all different types of products, so food and drink, cosmetics, toiletries. We even had a yoga mat recently. So anything you can think of, you can register under the vegan trademark. And the reason we do this is because there's no legal definition to the word vegan, which means brands are free to proclaim a product as vegan without going through any auditing or third-party certification. So when brands come to us, we will register it under our trademark. We're the most recognised and trusted vegan trademark in the UK. And as mentioned, across multiple industries, we've got several huge clients, Alpro, Quorn, lots of huge retailers as well. I'll really quickly go through the animal rights campaign just because I think I've got a couple more slides to go through, but it's our largest ever campaign. I've left the link there if you're interested in having a look. It was launched last year, and it's just to share the message that being an animal lover means caring for and respecting all animals, not just those we might share our homes with. We had a mosaic that you could see in the bottom left of the screen. That was in London. It was made up of thousands of smaller images of farmed animals, which are now in sanctuaries. And we also celebrated a Future Normal Day a couple of months ago, where we were recognising the people who have gone above and beyond for animals in our community. One of our environmental campaigns, so Grow Green, this was launched a few years ago, and it's designed to change policy to tackle the issues we face with animal agriculture. We publish work with researchers, we lobby MEPs, we work with farmers to help them move to more sustainable ways of managing their land. This is one of my favourite campaigns. Yeah, really interesting if you're interested in anything to do with the environment. One of our health-focused campaigns, Vegan are Thriving. So this was launched in 2019, and it focuses on health and living on a balanced vegan diet at any stage of life. We share interviews with health professionals, chefs and athletes, and we also created the Vegan Eat Well Guide, which you can see there. If you're interested in any of the work we do, there's many ways that you can support us. Then 3 of them don't cost anything either. So you can simply follow us on social media. That helps us get our word out. So you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can share our content. If you're interested in purchasing our multivitamin, that's called Veg1. There's many different ways that you can support our campaigns. If you go onto our website, lots of different information on there. You could raise funds or donate to the charity. You can become a member, or of course, if you're a business, then you can become a vegan trademark holder. And that's all from me. Happy to take any questions.
Hi, hello. I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Very informative and insightful. I just wanted to ask, because I've recently come across this question. So does the Vegan Society trademark, does it guarantee that the products are not tested on animals? For example, in case of cosmetic products, for example, because I was recently Googling it and I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So any product we trademark is not allowed to be tested on animals.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
No problem. Any more questions? Don't think so.
Yes, no other questions?
Oh.
Okay, so you can ask your questions later on, but always at the end of the presentations, because it's better for the keynote speakers. So thank you very much, Luciana.